So, why do people overcome things quicker than others? Why are some people resilient and some people are stuck on whatever trauma it is that they may have experienced, either a breakup or um, an accident or something that really, messed up their life and they just can't get out of it? So I was talking with a friend yesterday about some things that she had been through, accident, heartbreak, and some emotional things, loss of property. And the way she addressed the issue, I was like blown away by the force of her resilience, the way she was able to move on from the different things that she had gone through. Some of them back to back, some of them over a period of time. And it made me start thinking about the concept of resilience, about why some people stay stuck and why some people move on. And it boils down to some simple facts around biology, psychology. You can go read all the psychology papers around it, but it boils down to some simple facts around the way people process and interpret whatever it is that is happening to them. For example, someone who is resilient or has that resilient gene, quote and unquote, is easy to bounce back because they interpret failures, trauma, heartbreak, accidents, as not disruptions in itself, but as lessons that they can learn from and move on. They face the challenges head on, they process it easier, faster, and are able to compartmentalize it and use it as a catalyst for moving forward. While on the other hand, those who are more vulnerable or stay stuck look at these incidents as life definitions. They look at it as their identity, as who they are. They take it up as themselves. They do not have coping mechanisms similar to those who are more resilient. For them, coping is difficult, so they either avoid the situation or they deny the very existence of it. And in the denial of it and in the avoidance of it, they typically would enter into self-destruction mode and either going through drug abuse or or self-harm, things just to help them cope because they cannot cope in here and out there. So they rely on substances or other things or extreme things to numb their emotions, numb their minds from that experience. They take on the whole thing as their identity. I'm no more lovable. I am my trauma. Your trauma is not your identity. It's easier said than done. Yes, I remember some years back when I lost my brother. It was a difficult time for me. It was so difficult. I went into myself. I started avoiding people. I was a recluse. It was so traumatic for me because a lot of things that happened around that time, my availability, my work, I had traveled and I felt guilt, but I treated it as, I took the guilt as my identity. I took the guilt as me. It is me. I'm what was wrong with this entire situation. If I had come earlier, if I had picked up my phone, if I hadn't traveled, all the what ifs became my trauma, and it devastated me for quite a long time. And I think what helped me through that period was because there was no support system. There was no, everyone was grieving. So there was no one to rely on at that particular time to say, oh, we are going to help you overcome this. There was no support system. There was no friend network because the friends I had at that particular time could not pull me out of the despair that I was in, because support systems are one of the ways that resilient people are able to cope and overcome some of the things that they go through. I didn't have that at that particular time. So I wallowed in depression and it took a very long while. I think it was spirituality that did help me overcome that entire experience. I think I avoided church for a while, but I think one day I just got up I think my parents forced me, dragged me to church that day because I wasn't going to church. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't eating. I wasn't sleeping well. I was just underneath my blankets for quite a while. And they dragged me to church. And they kept dragging me to church. And I was sitting there and sad and crying and numb. Like there was nothing anyone could tell me that would, ease the guilt and the pain, because I felt so bad about the entire thing. But the more I went to church, one day I just broke. Like I found God again. I did some soul searching, and I was able to heal and move on from that incident. And from that incident, I've been able to, like, over time, whenever I feel despair, feel emotional, feel like my life and my world is crashing down, I'm able to go into that moment. I don't know how I do that, but I'm able to go into that moment and, like, if I was able to survive this, definitely this will pass. If I was able to, like, find, like, my identity, find myself, find strength to move on, this too shall pass. And I think that's one of the reasons that people who are not so resilient struggle with. From maybe a young age or childhood or family, they were not able to build, like, pockets of memories. I think I've done a video once or talked about how people are able to draw strength from things that have previously happened to them, and it's having, like, a bank or storage of things to pull from to move to the next level and to propel you to keep moving forward, even when life throws its many tantrums and things at you. So I use this as an example because it really did happen for me, and even when I had my multiple breakups and heartbreaks, it was one of the things that helped me move on. Yes, in some instances it was too devastating. I did wallow. I'm not saying I'm Superwoman or anything, but I did find that the spirit of resilience is something that we are able to learn over a period of time. We're able to build the strength or the backbone or the spirit or whatever you want to call it. And it's helpful if, one, we have a strong network of people. We have a support system. The support system cannot be understated enough, because that is your bedrock. Those are the people who will push you, motivate you, and keep you out of the darkness, and keep your strength up, and keep you encouraged. They are kind of like the fuel in that situation, the air that you breathe that would bring you out of those traumatic situations or devastating traumas or things that have happened to you. A support system, mentors, like people who love you, say good things to you, are always there when you need them. And then another thing I would like to say is that as we grow up, we need to, I think, build this spirit of resilience, because life is not a party. Life is not a party that things will always go right all the time. It will not go right all the time. And if we are able to build resilience over a period of time, it will help us, like, snap back out of terrible situations without avoiding, what is happening in those times, without falling into bad habits, taking up bad habits, drugs, self-destruction, without being in denial, without shutting down and taking those things as your identity. You are not your trauma. You are not the heartbreak. Because someone broke up with you, it doesn't define the rest of your life. Because you lost your job, it doesn't define the rest of your life. Because you had that accident, it doesn't define the rest of your life. Think about people who are either, I think the most powerful coaches and motivational speakers are people who have been through trauma. And that's what resilient people do. They turn their pain into purpose. They turn the sorrow, the hardships, the things they have been through, and they rewrite the story. They are able to reframe their situation and make it bigger or more motivational and transformational than it actually is. Yes, some people may say they're unemotional, they're able to compartmentalize and move on, but it's a coping mechanism, and it's helpful, especially in situations that are quite traumatic and can be detrimental or life-shattering. So I think my charge or my advice would be learn to reframe the situation, learn to distance yourself from the trauma, the pain, the heartbreak. You are not your trauma. It is not your identity. Turn your pain into power. It's a song, Turn Your Pain Into Power, I think from is it Three Doors Down? I forget their name. But turn your pain into power. Reframe that story. How else can you tell the story of your heartbreak, of your accident, of your trauma that would motivate someone else? And if you do that, I think that the more we are able to do these things, not avoid, not self-destruct, reframe, and turn your pain into power, the more resilient we would be over time. It doesn't happen overnight, don't get me wrong, but step by step, when we take these deliberate steps and take these deliberate actions, then we'll definitely see the changes in our lives, and we will build the backbone of resilience, the spirit of resilience, because not everyone is born with resilience. We learn it due to our life experiences. So choose what you want to learn today. So have a good day. I'll see you in the next one. My name is Joy, relationship and life transition coach. I'll see you in the next one. Arrivederci.